Hi readers, got a little false start there. Welcome back to my channel, Lila Wanders and Reads. Lee here, and today I am doing an author spotlight, one that I really didn't expect to do or plan to do, but this morning, and first let me toot my own horn, I've been better about not getting on Twitter and doom scrolling, but this morning I actually got on Twitter just to check out the status of the hurricane from some weather folks I follow. And it was there that I read a tweet by Stephen King saying that the author Greg Iles had passed away yesterday, actually. He had some form of blood cancer that had been in remission for a long time and sadly took his life. And I was really sad when I heard that because growing up, or after I got into my early 20s, I loved Greg Iles. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 books by him. I did not realize he had a whole 7-set book about a character called Pen Cage. I have 2 of those, and I'm going to talk to you about some of these. So this is really a tribute to him and his writing. He wrote primarily Southern fiction set in Mississippi because that's where he is from, or is raised. I did find out he was born in Stuttgart to what I believe were American parents. Several articles I said called him German-born, but raised in Natchez, Mississippi. But that would be like calling me German-born, but I was born an American in Germany because my father was a U.S. military officer. Anywho, that's not why we're here. Recently, and by recently I mean last February, not February 2025, February 2024, so I need to get on these. I bought 2 of his books that are set in Germany, Black Cross and Spandau Phoenix. I bought these because they are they have a World War II connection. It's about, this one's January 1944, this one's, well, let me just read it to you. Spandau Phoenix. The Spandau Diary. What was in it? Why did the secret intelligence agencies of every major power want it? Why was a brave and beautiful woman kidnapped and sexually tormented to get it? Why did a chain of deception and violent death lash out across the globe, from survivors of the Nazi past to warriors in the new conflict now about to explode? Why did the world's entire history of World War II have to be rewritten as the future hung over a nightmare abyss? So these 2 seem to be completely different from the rest of his body of work. And I don't know when I'll get to these. Obviously, I haven't gotten to them soon, but there is another book of his that I say I've read, but apparently I don't remember anything about it because it would have been decades ago, and that is Blood Memory. I love this dedication. And then I'm going to tell you what the book is about. This novel is dedicated to those women who realize in the dead of night that something is wrong and has been for a long time. More than most, they know that Faulkner's words are true. There is no such a thing as was, only is. If was existed, there would be no grief or sorrow. You are not alone. So this was copyrighted 2005, 20 years ago, and I'm going to reread it because it sounds fascinating. Catherine, Cat Ferry, is a forensic odontologist, a specialist in bite marks and the clues they provide. But while Cat's colleagues know her as a world-class scientist, she secretly attempts to manage her fragile psyche with alcohol, delving into the minds of rapists and murderers, yet never allowing her own frightening past to creep into the foreground. Cat's latest case involves a disturbing murder in New Orleans. Banishing her personal demons, she focuses on the potential killer until one morning she's paralyzed by a panic attack at a grisly murder scene. Praying the attack is a one-time event, she continues her job as a consultant to the New Orleans Police Department, But when another victim dies in the same shocking way, raising fears that a serial killer is at large, Kat blacks out over the victim's mutilated corpse. Suspended from the FBI task force, plagued by nightmares, and at odds with her married lover, a homicide detective, Kat finally reaches her breaking point. In a desperate effort to regain control over a life spiraling out of control, Kat retreats to her hometown of Natchez, Mississippi. But her family's secluded antebellum estate provides no sanctuary. When some of Kat's forensic chemicals are spilled in her childhood bedroom, 2 bloody footprints are revealed. This sight shocks her more than any corpse she's ever seen in her career. Kat's father was murdered when she was 8 years old, but she always believed that the crime occurred in the garden outside their home. The bloody footprints suggest otherwise. Driven by this fragment of her past, Kat attempts a forensic reconstruction of the decades-old crime, even as developments with the New Orleans task force pull her back into the case she left behind. Plagued by troubling nightmares, Kat pieces together the horrifying events she's been shielded from all her life. Soon, both she and the FBI realize that the murders occurring now in New Orleans are intimately bound up with Kat's family and her past. Can Kat trust her own memories? Or has the truth been so distorted that she can never know her family's real history? Finding a solution to these intertwined murders means more than stopping a remorseless killer. It may be the only way to save Kat Ferry's sanity and her life. I am going to reread this soon, for sure, even before I get to the Germany books. I do have the first 2 of the Pen Cage series. Apparently there's like 5 others, including one called Southern Man that's more recent. I probably will not reread any of those or get the ones that I don't have, but I will reread that Blood Memory, and eventually I hope to get to these. I loved Greg Iles. These are books that my mom and I read together. I consider them kind of Southern fiction because the majority of them are set in Mississippi. And I just remember them being thrilling and easy to read. And I can't wait to reread Blood Memory. If you've not checked him out, I highly recommend him. I love 24 Hours. In this, I'm going to read from my phone because some of these blurbs from back in the day were not as, well, this one says, 24 hours. That's how long it takes a madman to pull off the perfect crime. He's done it before, and he'll do it again, and no one can stop him. But this time, he's picked the wrong family to terrorize because Will and Karen Jennings aren't going to watch helplessly as he victimizes them, and they aren't going to let him get away with it. They're going to fight back. We don't know what the crime is, but on my phone it says a psychopathic con man kidnaps their 5-year-old daughter, and they decide to fight back to save her. So I don't remember anything about these books. It's been decades since I read them, but I do highly recommend them. Very atmospheric and just a pleasure to read. And this is just a short author spotlight. I'm not going to read the blurbs of all the books that I have. They're very, very good though. He's an author that I collected for a long time, and my mother and I read some of these together. So that is it for me. If you've made it with me this far, thank you for sticking with me on my journey, and happy reading.